Hello everyone, my name is Naël. I'm a computational journalist and the creator of Code Like a Journalist, a free online open source course about data analysis and data visualization with TypeScript. Today's lesson is about loops. Let's start the lesson and let's do it together. You can open Visual Studio Code. So it will look like this for you. There we go. I'm going to make the font a little bit bigger. And let's start by opening a new folder in which we will start working. So for the setup, it's as usual, we create, not a folder, a new main.ts file and a new dino.json file. Here we go. And we're going to work in main. So we can start by putting a simple console log, and to run this code, run watch check main.ts. So every time we save main, the code will be rerun. If you want to know when new lessons are available, subscribe to the newsletter, subscribe to this YouTube channel. You can also add a star to the GitHub repository. Now let's talk about loops. So loops work really well with arrays. And that's a great thing because when we will be doing data analysis and data visualizations, we will work a lot with arrays of objects. Here we have an example that is not using a loop. So here we are multiplying numbers from 1 to 10, and we are multiplying them by 2 and then logging this in the terminal. So right now we are doing all of this manually. We are logging 1 and then multiplying 1 by 2 and then logging the result here. Same thing. This is pretty long. And I mean, what happens if you want to do that till 100 or 1000, or if you want to multiply everything by 3 instead of 2? Updating your code will be very long. So instead, you can use loops. When there's something that is repetitive, most of the time, using loops will make your life way easier. So instead of writing all of this, we could use a loop like this one. So here we have a variable numbers, and it's an array with numbers from 1 to 10. Now we can use a loop by using the for keyword. This will start a loop in your array, and between the brackets here, we are creating a new variable n that we're going to use. And this variable here will be each number in our array. So we're saying, hey, create the new variable n, and I want n to be 1, then to be 2, then to be 3, then to be 4, etc., until the last item of the array. This is what it means. For each number in numbers, put it inside the variable n. Now between the curly brackets, there's what we want the loop to do. So here we're creating a new variable multiple, and we are multiplying n by 2. Then we are logging n and the result of the multiplication. And if you save this, you'll notice that you have exactly the same thing as before, but you have a loop. So if you have 100 numbers in there, this here will log it 100 number of times. Loops are very efficient, they are really fast, and they are very useful. Let me repeat the steps taken by your computer with your loop, because I know that it's a little bit tricky when you start working with it. So here we're saying, hey, I want to grab the array numbers, and I want you to put the value one by one in this order, right? Because there's a specific order with arrays into the variable n. So on the first iteration, n here equals 1. 1 multiplied by 2, this is 2, and we log it, 2. And you have the result here of the first iteration. Then your computer will go back and check, okay, this one is done, let's do the other one, number 2. So now n equals 2. 2 multiplied by 2, we log it, it's 4. Then it's 3. Then it's 4, etc., etc., until your computer reaches 10. So 10 multiplied by 2, 20. We log 20. And when your computer checks again, it will notice that, oh, 10 was the last number. I'm done with the loop. This is how it works. So this is a loop with an array, but you can also create loops without arrays, which is sometimes very useful. The syntax is a little bit different. So since you don't have an array, and I'm going to explain what's going on in the terminal in a second. So when you don't have an array, you need a few more parameters for your loop. So you are still starting with the for keyword, and now you need 3 parameters. First, you create a let variable I. Most of the time, this is what we use because I often stands for index. And you say, okay, I want you to create a new variable I that equals 0. I don't want this variable to be greater than 1 million. And at each iteration, I want you to increase I by 1. And for each iteration, I want you to do this. I want you to log I with hello. And if you save this, you'll notice that your terminal will log hello 1 million times. It stops at 999,999 because on each step, I adds 1, and your computer checks if I is still smaller than 1 million. It starts at 0. So if you scroll up, actually, we don't have 1 million logs. Here I'm going to do just 1,000, so we'll see it. Oh, 1,000. So if we check the first hello, it starts at 0 because I is 0. Then we go until 999 because when this the last iteration is done, your computer checks, is it smaller than 1,000? No, actually it's 1,000, so I stop. You can change these parameters as you want. For example, you could say, hey, I want you to start at 15 and I want you to stop at 125 and I want you to increase by 2 on each iteration. So you see we start at 15, then plus 2, 17, and it goes up until 123 because we ask it to be smaller, strictly smaller than 125. We can also use smaller or equal to 125, and now it will stop at 125. So this is how you can use, you can create a loop with the number of iterations that you want. You are not, like, it's not mandatory to use I. If you don't want it, it's fine. You can also just do something without it. It's just that your loop needs I to know when to stop and how many iterations should be made. So these are the for loops. There's also a key word, a key statement break. So let's say here, so you created this loop, but you are still working on your code and you don't want to run all of the iterations. You would be fine with just maybe just 2 or 3. You could add a condition, for example, and say, hey, if I is greater than if I is greater than 20, I want you to stop. There we go. Let's bring I again. So you see here, we break the loop. We say, okay, start at 15, add +2, 15, 17, 19, 21. Oh, 21 is greater than 20, so we break. We stop the loop. And after that, maybe you've done everything that you want in your code and you want to do the full iteration, and maybe it takes a few minutes. And so now you can remove the condition or comment it. Here I'm giving you another example, not with numbers, but with names. You can see that we have an array with names. We do a for loop on the array. So we iterate over each first name, we log it, but we add a condition in the loop. If the name starts with capital J, we break. So you can see that we have Tom, Ivan, Jerry. Jerry starts with capital J, Tom, Ivan, Jerry. So we break after that. Without this condition, we would log all of the names. So break is useful in this context, and we will use it from time to time. And that's it for the lesson about loops. So loops are wonderful when you're doing data analysis. They allow you to iterate really quickly and very efficiently through massive volumes of data with just a few lines of code. There's other kinds of loops, like the while loops. But to be honest, I don't use it very often. Usually, I do for loops on arrays, and sometimes with specific parameters. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. If you want to know when new lessons are available, subscribe to the newsletter, add a star to the GitHub repo, or subscribe to this YouTube channel.